Well, we are a little more than a month away from President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th. And as the Trump team prepares for day one of the new administration, we're learning some major players and big tech are sending huge amounts of money their way. Amazon, led by Jeff Bezos, is donating $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund. Meta, led by Mark Zuckerberg, is also giving $1 million to the fund. And OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is also making a personal donation of $1 million. CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins us now from West Palm Beach, Florida. So, Nikole, in the past, Trump was very critical of Meta and several of these companies. He's attacked Jeff Bezos over the coverage of him in the Washington Post, which is owned by Bezos. Given all that history, is it surprising that we're seeing all these tech CEOs now making these $1 million donations?
Well, I don't know if I would call it surprising. I mean, at the end of the day, the tech sector has a pretty outsized voice in Washington. And so I think some of this is to just be able to, make inroads with the president-elect and let him know, I should say, that they are willing to be a potential partner with this new administration and try to smooth things over from the past. And in terms of the amount of money, while it does seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, relative to the amount of money many of these companies make and the amount of money that needs to be raised for an inauguration, it's still a relatively modest amount. But again, I think this is really an attempt on the part of these companies to, again, try to mend fences, build bridges with the president-elect. Certainly, we have seen Mark Zuckerberg down here at Mar-a-Lago. Jeff Bezos is expected next week. So, again, this is just kind of part of this ongoing courtship that we often see between companies and politicians.
Well, and speaking of that, in addition to these donations from billionaires and big tech, Axios has been digging into the number of billionaires that Trump has tapped to fulfill key roles in his administration. What might all of this mean for decisions, particularly policy decisions? Who's going to benefit from this?
Well, I think it's too early to read into that, but certainly it is a situation where we know the president-elect has a very strong business background. I mean, that's kind of his claim to fame and how he came to prominence in terms of being a real estate developer and mogul and really transcending that into politics. And certainly there is a wing of the party that believes you should run the country like a company. The president is more or less the CEO of the country, if you will. So from that standpoint, I think that's why you see the president-elect really, again, trying to build relationships with some of these business leaders. We obviously saw him on Wall Street Thursday, where he was met with rousing applause. And as you know, the economy is really one of the key prongs of or was one of the key prongs of his campaign and continues to be a main prong and thrust of his agenda going forward. So, having these conversations with major business leaders, billionaires, enlisting their support is just part of that strategy.
Well, Nikole, let's switch gears just a little bit because we want to ask you about this. A lawyer for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Trump's pick for Health and Human Services Secretary, petitioned the FDA to end approval of the polio vaccine. That vaccine's obviously been safely administered to Americans for decades. Many in the medical field say that this was revolutionary in the number of lives that it has improved. So how involved is this lawyer in the transition? Has the Trump team responded to this at all?
Well, we know that the president-elect in his most recent interview with Time magazine said that he intends to have a big conversation with RFK Jr., who he has tapped to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. At the same time, we know that there has been this petition that was filed with the FDA to try to revoke the polio vaccine. Now, whether or not that is something RFK Jr. moves forward with or the president-elect tries to move forward with once he assumes office, I think remains to be seen, because for the most part that petition has remained dormant. And furthermore, the president-elect said in an interview earlier this week that he is a supporter of the polio vaccine, or he thinks that it has done great things. So while he understands RFK Jr.'s views about his skepticism about vaccines, at the same time he's been clear that he wants to see the numbers, he wants to see proof before he just goes and tries to revoke every vaccine that's out there.
All right, Nikole Killion, thank you.